Okay, everybody, we will be starting in 2 minutes. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, great. Let me get my script real quick. Um, Give me a minute. Okay. Good evening and welcome to this MSNBC special presentation, the debate for the position of President Tempore of the Senate. This event is going to be hosted by Mr. Owner, former Speaker of the House, by the way, and yours truly, Revocate, which is a former congressman. Yeah. Um, as we hear from the candidates vying for one of the most important leadership roles in the United States Senate. This position is very important because it's pretty much the Speaker of the House of the Senate, kinda. It's an elected position, so there's gonna be election for this. And yeah, let's begin by going over the structure of tonight's debate, which I need to grab. Give me a minute. Okay. The debate begins with opening statements, where each candidate will have 1 minute and 30 seconds to introduce themselves and outline their goals if elected. This is followed by a round one, focusing on leadership and legislative priorities. Here, each candidate will receive a tailored question from the moderator to better understand their approach to leadership and their plans for the Senate. Round two shifts the spotlight to the broader picture, addressing the challenges facing the Senate, including topics like rising partisanship and internal dysfunctions. Candidates will be asked how they plan to navigate and unify a sometimes divided chamber. Round three introduces a dynamic exchange where each candidate will have 1 minute to present a specific topic related to Senate leadership or governance. After introducing the issue, the candidate will then select another candidate to respond, fostering a direct and interactive conversation. This round will highlight each candidate's approach to addressing key challenges in Senate operations and leadership. We'll also be including a quick-fire round where candidates will answer a rapid series of yes, no, or short answer questions to quickly highlight where they stand on key procedural or governance matters. This first segment is designed to give voters a clear and concise understanding of the candidate's position. The debate will then open up to the public questions submitted before the debate and live press questions, if any, of course, where MSNBC will present select questions submitted by viewers and journalists alike, giving candidates the opportunity to respond to real concerns from the community. Finally, candidates will have a one last chance to speak directly to the public with closing statements, a final minute to summarize their message, reinforce the commitment, and make their case. This was the debate structure, and with that, let's begin. Each candidate has drawn numbers backstage to determine the speaking order. The order is as following. Let me find it real quick, please. So Miss Senator Aquatic will be going first. Mr. Tempore will be going second, and Senator Nine will be going last. Let me get to my script again. Okay. Let's begin with our first segment, which is leadership and legislative priorities, I believe. Never mind. Opening statements. Okay, Mr. Aqua, you may begin with your opening statements. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds. You will be informed when there are 30 and 15 seconds left via game chat so that you are not disturbed in any way. You may begin now.
Okay. Hello, my name is Aquatic. I've been a member of OSF for almost about 2.5 years now. Some of the biggest positions I've held have been senator, representative. I was the SS assistant director at one point in time. I was also an MP lieutenant. Some of the things I've done over the past term, I've introduced 2 bills. The latest bill I've introduced has required departments to submit congressional reports at the end of each term. This bill aims to increase transparency within the government and to the public. My first bill, was to establish divisions within the Secret Service upon their request. Other than that, I have held lighter roles. I've mostly been in SOT and law enforcement. I think that is everything about me, so I yield my time.
Thank you, Mr. Aqua. We may proceed with Mr. Tempore's opening statement. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm Tempore, and I'm seeking the role of President Pro Tempore to bring seasoned leadership and unwavering commitment to our Senate. Since 2021, my journey in this community has been marked by dedication and service across multiple branches of our government. I've had the honor of serving as the Department of State's ambassador to Europe, safeguarding our nation's leaders in the Secret Service Protective Division, and upholding justice within the JAG Corps. Notably, I served as Speaker of the House, and during a critical moment when both the President and Vice President were incapacitated, I stepped up as acting president, ensuring continuity and stability for our nation. These experiences have equipped me with a comprehensive understanding of our government's inner workings and the importance of decisive leadership. As President Pro Tempore, I pledge to uphold the integrity of the Senate, ensure fairness and orderly proceedings, and represent our chamber with honor. The role isn't just a title, it's a responsibility to our colleagues and the citizens who look up to us for guidance. I'm Tempore, and I'm ready to lead our nations with experience, dedication, and steadfast commitment to our democratic principles.
Thank you, Mr. Tempore. We shall move on with our last candidate, Senator 9. You have 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Hello, everyone. I am 9, running for President Pro Tempore of the Senate. For those who don't know me, I started in OSF in, I believe, 2019 or 2020. I started out in FBI, becoming CID ASAIC, and then through DOS, SS, and many others. Also being a part of the House, not just the Senate. During the House, I've put many bills, the recent ones being the new law, I believe it's property possession of contraband, and just updating a current law that had some complex wording. If I get elected as PPT, I hope to continue the promises I've kept in my campaigns, such as vying for all sides of OSF, crime, LE, citizens, and just trying to make a better time for Congress, and again, OSF overall. I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator 9. Now we will begin with our first segment of tonight's debate, which is the leadership and legislative priorities questions. I will repeat what this means. Here, each candidate will receive a tailored question from the moderator to better understand their approach to leadership and their plans for the Senate. Mr. Likely, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's still 1 minute and 30 seconds, right? I am unsure. Do DM me this. 1 minute, okay. I will begin with asking some questions. The order is the same, so Aqua, Tempore, 9. Mr. Aqua, what makes you the best fit to serve as President Pro Tempore? You have 1 minute.
I believe that I am the best fit for this position as I have spectated many sessions over my time in OSF. I've been in Sergeant at Arms for a long time, and I've been a senator and a representative. I believe that I have the experience necessary to hold such a role, and I have worked very closely with other senators. I believe that I can continue to work closely and increase public transparency and hold events from the Senate to the public if I'm elected. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you, Mr. Aqua. We'll be asking different questions to everybody. And there's going to be 2 questions per segment, so we don't take too much of the public's time. Okay. So, Mr. Tempore. Let's see. Mr. Tempore, how would you keep Senate sessions organized and productive?
To keep the Senate, okay, thank you. To keep the Senate sessions productive and organized, I would. We should have the same questions, but whatever. I will. I will ensure that everyone, one, doesn't have the floor for any more than a couple minutes, as in the past people have taken Senate sessions to do literal 20-minute yap sessions. I will also ensure that I keep motivating everyone to move on to the next resolution or bill, as I did as Speaker of the House. I would say any motions for the next agenda item, and just basically follow basic parliamentary procedure as I've done in the past, real world experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tempore. We shall move on with a question for Senator 9. How will you empower other senators to take initiative in the chamber? You have 1 minute.
When it comes to empowering, I believe I and the other candidates have voiced our opinions many times and have tried to help Congress. As far as I go, I think I would try to help help empower them by just trying to get them to contribute to bills and other legislative matters. Try to show up to sessions. Try to just be a voice that they can go to and try to assist them. In Congress. I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator 9. I'm gonna be asking Mr. Tempore's last question. How will you encourage senators from different parties to collaborate? You have 1 minute.
Wait, you say Tempore? Hold on, sorry, I was typing.
Yes.
To encourage people to cooperate, I would have people get together. As I did in Speaker, I would do group chats with people for bills. I was involved in multiple bills where I would help encourage people in group chats to work together. Where when we had ideas like, say, revamping the Senate standing rules, like I've done before, we would all get in a group chat. We would help. Honestly, and it's just not being toxic. I think that's really like the basic fundamentals here of like being bipartisan. This is, don't look at party lines like something that you need to do certain things to like get more seats. Like just work together and don't be toxic. Don't differentiate how you treat people based on what party they're in. Everyone was elected by the people to do the functions of the Senate. You shouldn't pick and choose who you want to do work with.
Thank you, Mr. Tempore. We shall move on to Aqua once again. Let me get another one. Okay. How will you handle senators who consistently miss sessions? You have 1 minute.
I think the first thing I'd obviously do is reach out, check with them, make sure there's nothing personal in their life going on. I think the second thing I'd do, if it keeps going on, is I'd have to reach out to other senators and most likely make a motion to expel them for inactivity, as we cannot have inactivity in the Congress.
Thank you, Mr. Aqua. Now we shall move on to our last question for the first segment, which is for Senator 9. Let me get one. Okay. What is your long-term vision for the Senate in case you are elected? You have 1 minute.
Well, I think, like I've always tried to do, my long-term goals, I guess you could say also, is just to try to improve Congress. Obviously, Congress has a history of not being liked, seen as boring, seen as stupid. Bear my language, but I want to try to change that. I've tried to. I know others have, and I want to assist in trying to, just change the view of what everybody sees Congress as, and again, not just improve Congress, but OSF overall. And yeah, I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator Nine. We shall now move on to our second segment of this debate and event. So the second segment, as I mentioned before, shifts the spotlight to the broader picture of the Senate. We will be addressing challenges facing the chamber, including topics like citizenship and internal dysfunctions. You guys will be asked how you plan to navigate and unify a sometimes divided chamber. Okay, so from now on, I will be only asking you guys one question, since we simply do not have enough. Considering Ed is absent, he had some personal issues. So let me find one question for Mr. Tempore. Okay, I'm gonna be making this one up. Let's say that in a session, Senator X publicly condemns a bill which he has never spoken before about. Oh my god, I cannot speak today. Which he has never spoken about before. When this senator that proposed this bill asked for feedback beforehand, how would you try to address the situation? You have 1 minute.
Well, to start off, I'm a firm believer that people shouldn't wait last minute to say something, especially during a session, because you're just going to end up making a session longer. If someone has an issue with a bill, they should say it when they're first asked for feedback. And if someone doesn't and they wait for the last minute, their time on the floor debating it should be cut at 2 minutes. They had the opportunity to debate about it earlier. We shouldn't facilitate them going on and on for minutes on the floor, wasting everyone's time that did express their concerns previously. Simply just being considerate. I mean, you shouldn't be awarded with extra time on the floor just because you decided to speak up last minute.
Okay, with that being said, I will actually be asking a follow-up question. You still have 1 minute to answer that. Do you believe that sessions should be short or long?
Well, people have a lot of things going on IRL. I very much believe that they should not be prolonged. That doesn't mean I'm not a fan of sessions being 5 minutes. I don't think we should say session started and then adjourn it 5 seconds later. I still think people can ask the floor. I just think we need to limit people's time on the floor when they make statements, which is typically 2 minutes. And I don't think that's enforced as often as it should be. As again, people have lives and they have things they need to do outside of Roblox.
Thank you, Mr. Tempore. We shall move on to, let me think, 9. Okay. So as we were able to see in the past with the owls, internal drama can hurt Congress's wide image in the community. How would you handle public conflicts and or controversies involving senators? You have 1 minute.
Well, I think personally I've had to deal with much controversy, obviously with my criminal past. Obviously, this is an obvious thing, and the same can be done with any department or agency you're in. As far as Congress goes, I'd like to try to deal with this controversy maybe through statements, through congressional statements, interviews maybe with news outlets, maybe even try to talk with people and try to understand their reasoning for disliking or having distaste towards a decision or a bill that's created or something, and try to get around to making them see the big picture and what it's actually about. I'm fine with hearing debate. I'm fine, honestly, with critique. If something ends up bad, if it is seen as really bad by the majority of people, I'm fine to shoot it down, if it really benefits the greater good. Um, but yeah, that's really it. I yield my time.
Okay, I'm gonna be asking you a follow-up question as well. You have mentioned statements in your answer. Do you believe that the so-called statement wars between multiple senators are healthy and good for the chamber?
I think to some extent there is some benefit to some back and forth. Besides community engagement, which obviously OSF likes to have, I think this can shed light on some things, we can put it, that people may not be aware of their representation, whether it's bad things, good things. It also maybe can shed light on bills that are being passed, and that's why there's an argument that's happening. But, most of the time, I've seen statements, it's either regarding bills or people or something such as, the previous representative Karen, that whole debacle, and you could see statements being made for that. So I think there's a point to where it is healthy and where it isn't. I yield my time.
Thank you, Senator. We will be moving with our last question and possibly a follow-up, which will be directed to Mr. Aqua. So, as you may know, newer senators may struggle to find their place in this chamber. What would you do to better support and even, I guess, train new members of the Senate?
I think new senators has been a more common thing recently. I think that one of the better, I'd say for newer senators, I'd show them, depending on what they're struggling with, for one, I think if they're struggling with writing bills, I could definitely help with that. I think if if it's an issue that I'm not experienced with, I think the first thing I would do is direct them to somebody who I know is more experienced and can help them. Somebody like the Secretary of the Senate or a more experienced senator. Um, that's all. I got my time.
And with that being said, would you recommend to somebody who wishes to join Congress to get into the House first or into the Senate first?
I would say the House.
And what if he insists in getting into the Senate first? Would you have any recommendation for him?
My personal recommendation would just be to talk with people. If they really want to get into the Senate, they need to know what it's like. They need to hear from other people um, on how they can better themselves for it. That's all.
Thank you, Senator. Okay, we will be moving to our third segment of this debate, which I will be explaining the rules of in a second. Okay. So now, I will have one of you three to pick an issue or a topic related to the Senate, talk about it, and then select one of your fellow, I guess, candidates to speak about it as well, so that we can foster a direct and interactive conversation. Okay, give me a minute. Okay, actually, you choose a topic, you speak about it, okay? And the floor will be open for one of the candidates to debate or grab the floor to address the issue. And we will be picking the topic, actually. We say we are sorry for this, say, bad organization, but Ed wasn't here. So, okay, so the topic is: what role should the President pro tempore play in setting the political tone of the Senate? And by that I mean, should he have a more neutral or guiding role in the chamber's business?
May I speak?
Yes, you may.
I think that the PPT, as far as sessions go, should take a neutral stance. I'm going to say kind of like a 50-50, kind of like I did with the previous question about the whole statement question. So I want to say that I believe that the PPT should stay neutral in some circumstances, but I feel like they should be able to voice their opinion, seeing as they are a pretty high, an officer basically, a presiding officer, um, in the Senate, and they should have some experience or experience in general in the Senate. I think you know, neutrality is good. He allows their members to do their thing, but I feel like at some point they need to speak their mind and try to at sway, not necessarily sway, but just give input on the decision and why they may think something is bad or not, or yeah. I yield my time for that question.
May I speak?
Yes, you may.
I believe when it comes to neutrality, to a certain extent, it very much needs to happen for President Pro Tempore, as at any moment you could have to take the presiding officer role. And when you are the presiding officer role, you can't have any bias towards anything. So it's best to try to stay out of it if you can. But just because you're President Pro Tempore, that does not mean you have to lose your voice in situations. You should be able to still voice your concerns, but you for sure need to try to stay neutral where you can, because again, you have to take over. You're the next person to take over should the VP be in absence or have to leave mid-session.
Does anybody else wish for the floor? Going once, going twice, going twice. Okay. Seeing that nobody else wants the floor, I will be asking a follow-up if I can think of one. Never mind. Okay. I believe that we can move on to our. Oh, wait. Okay, never mind. Something just got into my mind. How would you handle a situation where your personal views strongly differ from the majority of the Senate? Would you stay silent, or would you actually step in?
Sorry, can you
Try
repeat the
and.
question?
Oh, yes. How would you handle a situation where your personal view strongly differs from the views that the majority of the Senate has?
May I answer this?
Yes.
All right. I honestly feel like this happens all the time, regardless, even if I was or wasn't PPT or Speaker of the House, any type of representation. I believe I would speak up regarding why I believe, why I defer from others. I think this is important because I can establish some critique to the what you call it, the writer of the bill or bills, and try to kind of understand why maybe I should be swayed into voting with the majority. If you do want to vote with the majority, that's fine, but I believe trying to have an independent mind, free of just, oh, everybody's voting, so I should vote for this too, is beneficial. Um, but that being said, if the people believe that a bill should be passed, then I mean I'm all for voting for the majority if that really is beneficial, based on what the people think. If the people have like a neutral stance on it, then I don't mind speaking my mind. Yeah, I yield my time.
I would
Does
like to
anybody
go.
else want the floor?
I think me and Aqua both.
Tempore.
Okay, me first.
Tempore, you
Okay,
may go
cool.
first.
Cool. So, when it comes to that, I think everyone here knows that I'm quite that opinionated person. I don't think that's really up to debate. But if something isn't doesn't really have a high chance of causing bias if I were to preside. Like, it's okay if I speak my opinion and I end up presiding on, like, in the session that bill would be voted on or whatever. Then I'll try to be neutral, but I will very much speak my mind when I have to. If I believe I have my own personal preference on something and someone proposes something, I'm not gonna be afraid to speak out and say that that doesn't make much sense, that's not impactful, and whatnot.
Okay, so the time limit has been reached, and so that we can give some space to the house open event. I don't know what it's called, my bad. We will move on to our fourth section, which is the quick fire questions. I will be repeating the rules. So it's pretty much a rapid series of yes, no, or short answer questions to quickly highlight where you guys stand on key procedural or governance Senate matters. Can you give us a second? We will be starting shortly. All right, Mr. Nan, do you support implementing stricter attendance requirements for senators?
I honestly do not, and that is to say that although I believe, we should hold people accountable for not being able to attend, I believe that if people have reasons to not attend, like real life issues or something just happens to, oh, okay, then no.
Okay.
If we're gonna go with that, then no.
Yeah, it's fine. Aqua, do you believe that transparency is more important than efficiency in the Senate?
No.
Okay. We'll have one for Tempore. Give us a second, please. Okay, actually, we'll be asking you the same questions. Do you support in the implementation of stricter attendance requirements for the Senate?
Yes, you were elected to vote.
Okay. I believe I did not ask this to Aqua, so same question for you.
Sorry.
Do you support implementing stricter attendance requirements for senators?
Do not.
Okay. 9. Is transparency more important than efficiency?
Can you elaborate if you can?
Yes. Is being transparent with what you do better than like writing big paragraphs of bills without actually explaining what you're doing? That is an example.
Is transparency better than efficiency? I will say yes to that.
Okay, fantastic. So Tempore, same question. Is transparency more important than efficiency?
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Aqua, is enforcing Senate rules more important than flexibility?
Can you repeat that?
Yes. Is enforcing Senate rules more important than flexibility?
I believe it is, yes.
Same question goes for Tempore.
That depends on the matter, but I'm going to go with yes.
Okay, 9.
I am going to answer the same as Tempore and say that depends, but yes.
Okay, fantastic. I'm gonna be asking for questions from the public. If there are any, ping me in general or do text in game. I can see you. Going once, going twice, going twice. No. Fantastic. We will be now giving 1 minute to each candidate to make a closing statement. We'll be starting with Aqua.
I do not have much of a closing statement. I would just like to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to come speak. I believe that's all.
Tempore.
This chamber doesn't need someone learning on the job. It needs someone who's proven they can lead under pressure. I've been trusted as an ambassador, trusted as speaker, and trusted as acting president when the nation needed stability the most. I don't shy away from responsibility. I step into it. As president of Tempore, I will defend the order, integrity, and strength of the Senate without hesitation. I'm Tempore, and I'm ready to lead with certainty, not just words. Thank you.
Okay, 9. Do you have any final statement?
Yes, I want to say thank you for the time. For this time, thank you to MSNBC and C-SPAN for hosting. I hope that the upcoming and current senators vote who truly should be PPT, and you can vote for me as I won't be using AI to answer responses and make an opening and closing statement. That is all. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator 9. Okay. That concludes tonight's debate. Thank you to our candidates for their insights and to our viewers for joining us for this critical conversation about the future of the Senate. Yep, on behalf of MSNBC, thank you. Have a great day or night. You guys can go.
We love you.